For over 250 years, 5 architectural families have shaped the American home. They rise, they dominate, they react against each other, and eventually fall out of favour. And drive through any American neighbourhood, and nearly every home you see will belong to one of these architectural families. In today's video, we're breaking down those 5 architectural families that built America, how to recognise them, what philosophy shaped them, and what they were reacting against. American architecture doesn't move in a straight line. It swings from order to excess, from ornament to simplicity, and from nostalgia to innovation. And once you understand those 5 families, every house you see suddenly makes sense. So the first family to shape America was the Colonials, rooted in what architects call the classical tradition. This includes first period Colonials, Georgians, Federals, Greek Revival, Neoclassical, Colonial Revival, and Southern Colonial. These styles certainly vary in ornament and scale, but they share one central philosophy, and that's a house should project order, balance, and permanence. In the 18th and 19th century, the young United States borrowed heavily from classical European architecture, particularly the symmetry and proportion of ancient Greece and Rome. This wasn't decorative borrowing, it was symbolic. And as the country established itself, classical architecture became a way to signal legitimacy and stability. Symmetry wasn't decorative, it was ideological, suggesting discipline and control. You can recognise this architectural family instantly as they share the same identifying principles, namely symmetrical facades, centred entryways, evenly spaced windows, classical detailing, balanced roof lines, and a clear proportional hierarchy. And what I mean by that is nothing competes for attention. The centre is emphasised and the door is framed. The windows align and the roof caps the composition cleanly. Your eye knows exactly where to look. The materials may change, the ornamentation may increase or soften, but the structure remains disciplined. And that discipline is the reason this architectural family is one of the most enduring in America. But eventually, restraint begins to feel limiting. And when prosperity increases, Americans tend to push against restraint. And that's exactly when we see the appearance of the ornamental architectural family. This is the Victorian lineage, the era of Queen Anne, Gothic Revival, Italianate, and Second Empire. And if the classical colonial family believed in control, this ornamental dynasty believes in expression. A house should be noticed and communicate wealth, individuality, and imagination. In the mid to late 19th century, industrialisation changed everything. Decorative elements that were once hand-carved could now be mass-produced. Trim, brackets, spindles, pattern shingles, suddenly ornamentation was readily available, and when it became accessible, it multiplies. This family of very ornate Victorian-era homes reacted directly against the classical colonial symmetry and restraint. Why divide a facade neatly in half when you can build a tower or a turret? Why centre the door when you can add a porch around the corner? This is another architectural family that's very easy to identify. Look for asymmetry, towers and turrets, decorative trim and spindle work, pattern shingles, steep and complex roof lines, vertical proportions, and facades that just look visually very busy. Nothing is flat, nothing is quiet, and everything competes for attention. Whereas classical colonial homes guides the eye to the centre, ornamental Victorian homes invites the eye to wonder. Think drama, detail, and display. But ornamentation comes at a cost. Maintenance becomes demanding, complexity becomes exhausting, and eventually excess begins to feel artificial, because when everything is shouting, something quieter starts to sound appealing. And that backlash is what gave rise to the handcrafted movement. This is the arts and crafts lineage, the era of craftsman homes, bungalows, and prairie-style architecture. Where the ornamental family celebrated display, this handcrafted movement values honesty, believing a house should not pretend, it should reveal how it's been built. Emerging in the late 19th and early 20th century, this architectural family reacted against industrial excess and Victorian over-decoration. The arts and crafts movement saw mass production of ornamentation as somewhat cheap and gaudy. It argued beauty should come from materials, structure, and genuine craftsmanship, not from applied decoration. You can recognise the handcrafted family of homes by the low-pitched roof lines, deep overhanging eaves, exposed rafters, thick tapered columns, wide porches, built-in cabinetry, and an emphasis on natural materials like wood and stone. Horizontal lines dominate. The house feels grounded, connected to the earth. Nothing is superfluous and nothing is pretending to be something it's not. Think craft, honesty, and simplicity. But as charming as the handcrafted homes are, they can feel modest, restrained, and almost humble. And as prosperity returned in the 1920s and again in the late 20th century, Americans began looking outward, not towards factories, but towards history and atmosphere. And that shift opens the door to the Romantic or European-inspired architectural family. When Americans started looking beyond craft and practicality, they turned to something very different: romance, history, and the architecture of Europe. This lineage includes Tudor Revival, French Provincial, Mediterranean Revival, Spanish Revival, and English Country. If the handcrafted family valued honesty in construction, this romantic European-inspired architectural family values story. This architectural family believed a house should feel old, storied, lived in, loved. It should evoke somewhere else, a fantasy land far away in the English country or the Spanish hills. Emerging in the early 20th century and surging again in waves throughout suburban expansion, this architectural family reacted against simplicity. It brought back mood and visual richness, but without the fussiness of Victorian ornamentation. In terms of recognising this romantic European-inspired architectural family, look for steeply pitched roofs and half-timbering in Tudor homes, arched windows and doorways in Mediterranean and Spanish Revival, stucco and stone facades, decorative shutters, wrought iron detailing, textured walls, and irregular footprints. These homes are less about symmetry and more about atmosphere. While classical colonial homes feel composed and the handcrafted arts and crafts movement feels grounded, romantic European-inspired homes feel transported. Think atmosphere, texture, and story. But nostalgia does have its limits. At some point, architects begin asking a different question entirely. What if the past isn't something to recreate at all? What if the past is the problem? And that question gives rise to the Modernist architectural family. If the romantic European-inspired architectural family looked backwards for inspiration, the Modernist movement deliberately looked forward. Its philosophy was radical for its time. A house should serve function, not tradition. Ornamentation was considered unnecessary, historical references were distractions, form should follow function. Emerging in the early to mid-20th century, modernism reacted against revivalism and nostalgia. Architects stripped away applied decoration and focused instead on proportion, light, efficiency, and structure. Lines became cleaner, roofs flattened, and open floor plans replaced compartmentalised rooms. When people hear the word modern, they often think of kind of brand new glass homes, but many older homes belong to this architectural family as well. Mid-century modern homes with their flat or low-pitched roofs and strong indoor-outdoor connections are classic examples. Even the American ranch fits here. Though simpler and more suburban, it reflects the same modernist principles, which are horizontal lines, minimal ornamentation, functional layouts, and integration with the landscape. You can recognise the modernist architectural family by the flat or low-pitched roofs, expansive glass, clean geometry, minimalist trim, and open interiors. Later interpretations, the contemporary and the transitional home, soften the edges, but the philosophy remains the same: clarity over ornamentation. Think function, clarity, and restraint. But even modernism didn't last forever because American architecture rarely settles on one answer for long. For over 2 centuries, these 5 architectural families have taken turns shaping the American home. Classical order, Victorian display, handcrafted honesty, romantic atmosphere, and modernist clarity. None of them fully defeated the others. Instead, they rise in response to one another. Restraint leads to excess, excess leads to simplicity, simplicity leads to nostalgia, and nostalgia leads to reinvention. And so the cycle continues. That's why you can drive down a single American street and see all 5, sometimes side by side. Architecture in America isn't random, it's reactive. And once you understand these 5 architectural families, you'll stop asking what a particular house style is and start wondering about the philosophy behind it. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really hope this was helpful. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe. It really helps me out. And I'll see you next week for more Homes Explained.